This is Nader with NastyNateTV, and today I wanted to talk to you about a deck I've been playing revolving around a new card from the last set, Denorius Belt. This is a really cool card that has a really strong theme to it. If you recall the Deep Space Nine episode where it comes from, this is one where at the very end of Season 6, Dukat beams over to Deep Space Nine in the Bajoran Shrine, kills Jadzia Dax, who's there praying, ends up collapsing the wormhole, and the whole season kind of ends on a cliffhanger where we're wondering if Cisco's going to come back or not. In terms of the actual gameplay, it's a really unique card. It destroys all events in play. So let's say you're playing against that Romulan opponent with a whole core of events and they have all their bonus point mechanics. Nah, that ain't going to fly after this mission gets solved. Oh, you're playing against a Borg deck and the Borg's got a lot of assimilation cards out there. No, these are gone too. So this is a really fun card that can play in a lot of different decks. And so I wanted to show you guys one of mine. Enjoy the clip. Let me know what you think. You can't play this mission without a Dukat, and in this deck I'm using the Bajor version of Dukat, Angel Tanan. In addition to having some nice skills and being only 2-cost personnel, he has a game text that becomes incredibly powerful in this deck. That says when he's facing a dilemma, you can remove an anthropology or leadership personnel in your discard pile from the game to make him attributes +1 until the end of the mission attempt. And importantly, there's no cap on his attribute gaining. So if you have 20 cards in your discard pile that you want to remove that satisfy his game text, you can do so. And he'd be running around with +20 attributes when you're looking for mission attempt or requirements. You fuel the discard pile primarily through this mission. This is SETI Alpha 5. This is the non-con headquarters SETI Alpha 5. And in the game text, the part that really matters, it says at the start of each of your turns, you may discard 6 cards from hand to draw 5 cards. And because the deck plays so much on the discard pile, you want to use this every single turn as much as you can. It's a huge deck, but there's really no card that's so important that you wouldn't discard it to fuel the rest of the deck. So you want to use this as much as possible. And then the other way you help fill the discard pile up is if you're able to draw Alenis Grem. She is a personnel that says when you play a Bajoran at the same mission she's at, you can discard cards from the top of your deck equal to her cost. So you use the Alenis and SETI Alpha 5 to fuel your discard pile. In addition to Dukat, there's a lot of very powerful cards that feed off cards in your discard pile. So the big one is probably Ascension. And what this does is it lets you bring in a Bajoran personnel into a mission attempt after your opponent has even already counted the number that he may draw. So this is a pretty good card to bring in a Dukat that dies, or maybe a big expensive personnel that you want for a mission attempt. And another big card that plays off the discard pile is the Cheater Covenant. And what this does is it lets your Treachery Bajorans gain all the skills and attributes on a personnel in your discard pile. So you're able to use the fact that you have a big discard pile to gain a lot of different skills or attributes that you might want. And then there's some other cards that just ease the pain of having to discard so many cards that you might want to keep. There's a card like Bajoran Gratitude Festival that's a 1-cost event that can draw you up to 4 cards. And then there's a card like this version of Kira I play with. And this one lets you remove a non-aligned personnel in your discard pile from the game to place her on your headquarters for free. So these cards kind of play off the discard pile, but there's also playing off the remove from game aspect of it. So you have Bryn, and he's a non-unique. He's one of the cultists from when Dukat was the master of the Pa Wraith cult. And what he does is when you remove a card in your discard pile from the game, if he's in your hand, you can play him for free on your Bajor. So he actually works pretty well with a card like Kira, where you can remove a non-aligned personnel to get Kira out for free, and if Bryn's in your hand, you get him out for free as well. And then also in the remove from game category is this version of Winadami, the Ducat's girlfriend throughout this story arc. And she works really well with Ducat. So every time Ducat increases his attributes by 1, Winadami gains +1 to her attributes, and actually she doesn't even really need to be with Ducat, so they can actually be in 2 different mission attempts. So you're playing with a lot of cards in your discard pile, and I said you can pretty freely discard whatever you want. There's nothing that's really that important, but there are a couple cards that help you pull some stuff back if you want some for later. So the easiest one being the Souls of the Dead. So this is just a very vanilla card that puts a card in your discard pile on top of your deck. And then there's one a little maybe more advanced card, which is the Text to Coast Emojin. Now this has a little negative synergy with the Denorius Belt mission because it's an event that plays in your core. But it's pretty thematic to the deck and also pretty strong when you have a discard pile full of cards you might want. So what this does is you stop a Treachery Bajoran or a Kai, and your opponent, and you pick out 2 cards in your discard pile, and you let your opponent pick 1 to go into your hand and 1 to get removed from the game. So it's a good way to get cards back, and there's, like I said, there's cards that play off the remove from the game as well. So you can bring in Bryn for free on the text of this card as well. And the last card to go with the draw deck that kind of fits the whole theme is this version of Cisco. So this is the Mana 2 World Cisco. And you only ever really want to play him late in the game. And what his game text says is when you play him, you can download a Prophet card. So you would, if you played him, you would download probably Ascension if you have one left in your deck. It's the only thing you can download. But his other side of his game text is what becomes pretty cool. So when you play him, you can take all the people that got removed from the game and put them back in your discard pile. So what you could do is you can use Ducat, remove 20 people from the discard pile to make Ducat attributes +20, and then the next turn you can play this version of Cisco to put those 20 personnel back in your discard pile to be able to use Ducat again. And that's how really the deck works. The missions are kind of work really well with the rest of the personnel you have in the game. So the big mission you try to solve is that works with the rest of the theme is this Assess Contamination. So this is a mission that has high attribute requirements and normally pretty rare mission skills. But you get to prevent and overcome the first non-skill dilemma that costs 1 or more. The requirements end up being pretty easy for this deck because, like I said, you can make Ducat really huge. Law and Anthropology are not uncommon in this deck. This version of Kira has them both. Law on Adami, and there's even a non-unique that has Anthropology and Law. So still a relatively easy mission to get. But the nice thing about this deck, this mission, is it allows you to try to go planet first because necessary execution becomes less of a worry here. Because if it's the first non-skill dilemma you face, it'll get prevented and overcome. So what you can do is while you're waiting off your opponent to build this core full of events that you eventually want to destroy with Denorius Belt, you can start on Assess Contamination. When you believe you want to go back to Denorius Belt, you can solve that and destroy all the events. Now this deck is capable of solving SETI Alpha 5 as its third mission. There's kind of surprisingly a number of Bajorans that have biology and exobiology or both. But the easier mission to solve is this Rigel 10 mission. The game text you may never use, but kind of the big thing about this is it's relatively easy to solve with the personnel in this deck. Pretty easy mission skills that are abundant. So that's it for the deck, and I'll give you a couple test draws and show you how it goes. So we've shuffled up and drawn and we're ready to get going. Like I said, you want to spend every turn using SETI Alpha 5 as much as possible. So each turn you'll be trying to discard 6 cards in your hand and drawing 5. Now you want to ideally not have 6 cards in your hand at the end of the turn, but 7. because 7 allows you to keep one card that you want more than the rest of them and discard the others. So this is the first 7 cards I've drawn down here, and the most important card, at least on the first turn, that I would like to have is this Elenis Grimm, because she's going to fuel the rest of my discarding for the rest of the game. So what I would do is I would keep her, and then I would choose to discard the other 6 cards in the hand. Now, if you'll see, there's already some synergy starting to develop. We already have a Kira that's going to be in the discard pile, and you'll be able to bring her out at any time because you'll have a Bashir, alternate universe Bashir as well. So you're already starting to get that discard synergy going. So you would discard the 6 and then draw 5. Back up to, so now you'd be at 6 cards in your hand total. And what you want to do for kind of throughout the game is you want to prioritize playing the best cards in your hand and being happy to discard the rest of them. So you've drawn up here, and I would say, yeah, Elenis Grimm is a great card, and I've also drawn a Ducat. And so the Elenis Grimm and Ducat are a total that will cost 4 counters, and then if I spend the rest of the counters drawing 3 cards, I'll get back up to 7 counters. And so I would start doing that. So you can play Elenis for 2, Ducat for 2. That lets you trigger Elenis's game text to discard the top 2 cards of your deck. Those will get discarded. And then you might spend the next 3 counters drawing up. So what you have here is you've already have some synergy going on already. So you've ended your turn playing 2 cards. You're back up to 7 cards, so you can elect to keep your best card, and you can already start getting some cards out for real cheap. So on the start of your second turn, I might say, well, let's keep Bryn out because I have a way to get him out for free. Discard the rest of these to draw 5 again, the start of your turn with SETI Alpha 5. And then I'm still in the start of turn phase. I can use this Kira's game text right now. So like I said, I can remove Bashir from the game to play Kira out for free. And then because Bryn's in my hand, he comes out for free as well. So I've gotten, in only 7 counters worth of play, and I've gotten 4 people out, including some really strong personnel already. And then what you want to do is you want to try to time your set up your hand so at the end of your turn you have 7 cards left. So just kind of looking through here. In this case, I might want to keep a ship out because the Vedic Transport Assembly is a pretty decent ship. So I might draw 2, play the ship. This unfortunately means I'm at 6 cards left in my hand at the end of the turn, and I would have to discard them all. But like I said, there's nothing that's so important. There's another Ducat in there, which is nice, a Covenant, but you can live without all of them. So that was turn 2. Turn 3, you would discard again. You would discard all 6 cards in your hand to draw 5. So you draw a couple cards. Cisco, like I said, you almost never want to play him, so this will be a card that you'll be happy to you'll never want to play him until late in the game, so you'll be happy to discard him because he does fuel some of the other stuff. So you'd start off drawing, and you might end up with, so I drew 4 cards there. I could end the turn playing a Zera. I guess that triggers Elenis as well. And then maybe I'll play this Ranjan guy for 2 more. So that's my 7 cards. Or 7 counters, excuse me. And so this is after turn 3. We already got 6 people out. We got a ship. We have a discard pile filled with personnel for Ducat. Ducat can already go +1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So already by the third turn of the game, Ducat can get +10 in attributes. So you could even start attempting missions right now. So that was all for now. Let me know if you like the format. The deck list is in the description. I'll talk to you guys later.